Issa, great to see you again. Welcome back to Pop Alternative.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Change of pace here. We talked about Goosebumps last time. Now we're talking about The Pit. I love this show. Congratulations. You do such an amazing job with Santos. I just wanted to ask, like, the the medical drama on its own is very interesting, and we've seen a lot of them, but we've never seen anything like The Pit before. It's fast paced, it's quick. What was that like, reading the scripts and then seeing it come to life and actually go film it, so to speak?
Yeah, I think the biggest shock was reading the scripts and seeing the scripts are very long. They're way longer than a normal thing would be that would be an hour or 45 minutes, 50 minutes, but it's because it's so fast paced. They were like, "Oh yeah, it's a lot of words, but it's in this amount of time." So that's and also we have very short days, but it doesn't mean that our work is any less. It's like, no, we have a 15-hour day in our day. It's just that we squeeze it into 10 hours. So you still leave feeling exhausted. But it's amazing.
I can't believe what we see as consumers, right? Like once the all 15 episodes drop is literally one shift. Like, is that not crazy to think about?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like some of the real doctors I've talked to, they're like, this wouldn't happen in a day. And I'm like, yeah, but it could. But these are all real things that our doctors who have helped write these episodes have witnessed. Like everyone's been through something like this. So which is crazy to me, because then when we do it and I see how horribly traumatic it is, I'm like, how do you do this?
Yeah. So I'm curious, like, getting like the breakdowns of scripts for your character, because it's a very intriguing character, right? There's kind of that misunderstood component people are going to see as episodes drop. There's that kind of villain out to prove herself component. There's a lot going on. How does the character read? Like, do you read more of the misunderstood components or first day? She's nervous. Like, I'm just wondering, in order that she have an agenda, like, how does it read specifically?
I think for me, we out the gate had meetings with all of the with John Wells and Scott Gemmill to talk about our characters, and they gave us like, this is what we see as your backstory, and they just gave a full like breakdown of what our life has been up to this point of when we walk in for our this day in the ER. And I think that was so incredibly helpful, because now I just can walk into any scene and know what my point of view is when I walk into that scene. So anything that's written, like it can be the simplest little line of me just saying yes, but like I can now know how she would say that word, because it's like, we have all that information. Mm-hmm. And so obviously what she does some very aggressive things, does some not so kind things, is a little thinks she's better than everyone, but there's obviously a reason behind that. And I think you start to see that as the season goes on. You get that backstory, obviously not all of it, because not all of my backstory would come out in one day, but you get hints of it. And I think that is a testament to the writing.
So that's a perfect segue to my next question. It's almost like you knew what I was going to ask. It's crazy. Well, no, I just feel like I can't even imagine from being kind of an actor on this show, because it's like, it's 50-50, right? It's like there's the case by case where the patients come in the emergency room and it's everyone kind of all hands on deck taking care of the patients. And then it's like the backstories, like you said, and the little conversations and learning about a lot of people. So how do you balance that as an actor? Because it's a lot, right? There's like you in the rooms and then there's you kind of on break, but we learn a lot about your character. I find that very fascinating.
Yeah, I think what's cool about it is, to me, it doesn't feel that separate, because even though, like when we're saving a patient, we're saving a patient, but still the human drama just unfolds with whatever we're doing. Like there's always moments of character growth, even when we are so focused on a patient, because that's kind of what the point of the show is it's not trying to be a soap opera where we have like, okay, we're saving a patient and now we're going to have this big dramatic moment where you get all the backstory. It's like, no, it's real life. And in real life, people are going to be talking when they're doing a job and have their normal conversation, and real life shit comes out during it. So like, it is kind of funny to be hunched over a patient and saving someone's life, but
Mhm.
still be having character growth. Like, it feels silly, but it is
Yeah.
like, it's real because that's human. That's what we go through. Everything that we do day to day has our soul and our own personality imbued with it. So you're going to get that in any part of the episode.
Absolutely. In terms of the ensemble cast, I find it very interesting because you can work on a show like you worked on Goosebumps and that was ensemble cast, but there were some characters that you really had a lot of like scene time with, and then there's other people maybe you wouldn't see them as much, right? With the Pit, you'll know what I mean by this. You're really in an ensemble cast. Like you get to work with everyone at times. Do you know what I mean? Like you're really part of that. Like, is that a little bit of a change of pace compared to past things you worked on? Like you have scenes with like a lot of people because they're all in the hospital.
Yeah, it's different. I think one of the main things is like we are always there.
Yep.
Even if we're not in a scene, a lot of the times we will be in the background of someone else's scene. And I
Mhm.
think that's what adds to just the ambiance of the whole show is like there's never just like now it's my scene. It's very much that solidifies how ensemble it is. It's like no, it's not just about your star moment. We are creating a world
Yeah.
and this is what we are living in. And so we are always buying in. And from the beginning, Noah Wyle, love that man. He said like when we were all auditioning, he sent out a letter being like, signing up for this is a buy-in from the top to bottom. Like we are all signing up for an intensive, just like all in thing. And we all need to be present 100% of the time. And that's tiring. And like maybe that's not for you, but if it is for you, then lock in. And like that's what we all thought into. And that's what makes it so beautiful as an ensemble show, like a true ensemble show. We are all in it all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's interesting, right? There's, you know, the the pace of it from an audience perspective is very quick. And talking to a lot of your like talking to some of your cast members as well, the pace is very quick. I'm wondering, given the fact that this is a show where the audience members just dialed in, seeing everyone work in this emergency room at the Pit, right, over a 15-hour shift. I know you try not to do this, but are you ever conscious of the audience member like reacting or watching the Pit while it's being made a little bit, or is that something that kind of you talk about a little bit after you wrap?
Well, I think no matter what, just being because I'm such an audience member. Like I love to be an audience member. So I think no matter what, anytime I do something like and you know the structure of what how something is made, it's like, oh, I know that this scene is gonna make someone gasp. Like
Yeah,
this is gonna make someone go, oh, and I love that. Like because that's theater too. Is like in theater, you hear live reactions. So obviously, like I have a sense of that, but it is, I think there's something so non-presentational about this show.
hmm,
It feels like you are peeking in on the private lives of people.
yeah,
So it doesn't feel like a big presentation. It does feel like you're watching very intimate moments, private moments,
yeah.
and I think the audience, it just makes the audience lean in and the audience feels, I think, a part of it always.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
They're
And
our other scene partner, basically.
of course, basically, you keep that question alive because usually people are like, "No, I don't think about the audience. Like I'm thinking on the job." And I get it, but thank you for that answer. That's the best. But
Yeah.
like, you know, it's interesting. Last question before we wrap up. There's different ways we watch things. You know, we get all episodes at once. We wait week to week, the traditional with Max. You know, the first 3 episodes dropped, and now they're coming out week after week. It's exciting, right, to be part of a show where there is kind of that traditional drop of those dinner table theory conversations week after week. Like, what's that? Do you think about that a little bit at all?
Yeah, I think this especially feels like such a return to what I think has been thought of for many years now as like an old-fashioned form of TV. Like
Mhm.
this is how it used to be. This was cable. This was all that. But like it's coming back and I see the joy in it for audience members. Like it's reminding me of like, oh right, I remember when it would be like, oh my God, the new episode's tonight, and like everyone freaking out and being like, did you watch last night? And like and I think there's such a sense of community in it that we haven't had for a long time because streaming feels so isolated.
Mm-hmm.
And it was that way for a reason. We
Yep.
adjusted that way for how life was. I mean, we were isolated for a long
Yep.
time. It makes sense, but it's kind of nice to return to this sense of like we're all watching the same thing on Thursday night and
Mhm.
we are all buying into it. We're all going to sit down with our food and like watch what happens next. And I that makes it feel very special and feel like, oh yeah, that golden age is not dead. Like that's not gone.
Absolutely. Thursdays on Max the Pit. I love this show so much. It's so good. You're so good in it. Congratulations. So great chatting with you again. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.